Good vibes already.
Yeah.
We got coffee.
Always.
You're in town visiting.
Yes.
Welcome back to Boise. It's been a long time.
Very long time. 20 plus years.
Yeah,
I think about
incredible.
it. Gosh, that makes me feel old.
We're just aging. We're people.
Yeah,
We're growing.
Right.
Developing.
Yeah.
Britney
Yeah.
Jane,
That
how
is
are
me.
you? Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for
amazing.
having me.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
For sure.
It really has. I was saying earlier, it's kind of surreal.
Yeah, it's dope. It's honestly, it's so cool to meet people in person who actually like support and listen to the episodes and engage in the community in literally different states. Like that's
Yeah.
freaking wild.
Like that speaks volumes to you as a like person and an entity, like truly like you should be proud of that because you're connecting with so many different people in so many different stages of life. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I'm honored, truly honored. And it's nice to always hear your feedback on the episodes and just talk with you a little bit like we have. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Yeah.
While we were ordering our coffee, I was trying so hard not to just ask questions.
Very difficult.
It's difficult.
Not to dive into it. Yeah.
And just to kind of be surface level and just try and engage in discussion, but not actually get to know each other, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yes. Dang. Where should we begin here?
Where to begin?
Because there is a theme that we should probably go over.
Right.
And cover and delve into and share insight. But you mentioned that you were 9 years old when you were diagnosed with diabetes, correct?
Type 1 diabetes, yeah.
How has this process been for you? How has your healing journey been? How has you discovering these new conditions and working with them instead of against them?
Yes.
Right? Like how has this been for you? Because you're doing an incredible job at becoming mindful through the process. And that's a very powerful ability to obtain going through anything, whether it's career or health conditions or relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like what we were touching on at the coffee shop. And then I just had to cut myself off because we were just diving too deep. We wanted to save it for this. But I feel like there's a common misconception that with any diseases or illnesses, that's always like a fight. It's a fight against cancer. It's a fight against diabetes. It's a fight. And like, I understand that. But at the same time, I spent a very good portion of my life trying to fight diabetes. And when I finally changed my relationship with that and started working with it, it totally changed everything. I really rebelled against it a lot when I was a teenager, and I just wanted to be normal. Like, what the fuck is normal? Like, there's no normal. It took a long time for me to remove that verbiage. Like, I just want to be normal.
Yeah, that's so situational and subjective.
Yeah.
It's really an opinion on what normal is.
Yeah. It's all perception too, you know? But yeah, since it's kind of crazy now that I haven't really like thought about it, but when I changed my relationship with that and that verbiage in my mind too, you have to work with it instead of against it, it changed. Like my A1C. So an A1C is like your like an average sort of like blood sugar over an amount of, I want to say it's like 3 months. Typically they want you between like 6.0 and 7.0. And mine was growing up at like an 11, like just terrible because I didn't take care of myself at all. And since changing my perception of that relationship, it dropped to, I'm at a 6.2 now.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I didn't even think about that until just sitting here. Like it totally changed my life.
Wow. Yeah, think about the energetic approach that you would bring to the circumstances.
Right.
If you're working against it, trying to fight it, or if you're
Exactly.
working with it and trying to, in a sense, welcome it into reality, into the
Acceptance.
situation and accept it and
Yeah.
surrender, the common term for a lot of
Yes.
people, right?
Yes.
And a powerful ability to obtain is to surrender to the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean we're weak.
Yeah,
know,
I
if-
feel like the people, they hear surrender and they're like, okay, so you're giving up. Like, no, it's acceptance, like radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
What so you encouraged me to feel your arm earlier, which was around your bicep.
You're like squeezing my arm. Like, no, that's not what I meant.
Tricep.
That's just squishy. It's fine.
And then you encouraged me to feel your shoulder. And the different...
Oh, sidebar, I also have rheumatoid arthritis. That's what we're talking about now.
Yes.
We switched.
And like the degree in temperature change
Right.
between those portions of your body was substantial.
Yeah.
And like this is where I had to cut back and stop asking questions, is because you mentioned like certain things you eat make that more inflamed. Flying on a plane makes that more inflamed.
Right.
Just like, damn.
There's so many factors.
What are the conditions that produce the body to be more inflamed? Nutrition is huge.
Huge.
Right? But flying, that was a very interesting...
Yeah. A lot of people
addition.
don't, they just aren't aware of how just the smallest thing can affect you with an autoimmune disease. Even with diabetes, like if I get angry or stressed out, or like say I was driving and someone like cut me off, that adrenal like spike, you know, my blood sugar will be high.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's like emotions. Yeah. That was another thing that it's been the past couple years I've really tried to focus on. How do I word it? Just like, you know, staying, what's the words I'm looking for?
Grounded, neutral,
yes.
Homeostasis.
Yes, neutral and grounded. Yeah, just through everything, because it helps, you know. It's just nuts. And people don't get that, you know, that it can affect such a, like with the flying too, the atmospheric pressure changes will affect my inflammation with my rheumatoid arthritis. So yeah. And then like you were saying on the nutrition note, gluten, any dairy, red meat, like sugar. So that was a tough thing for me because obviously as a type 1 diabetic, I'm not going to be able to cut out sugar.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, like
Dang.
that's what.
But the quality of sugar.
Right.
The quality of substance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is like an important circumstance and condition for that to be like well understood? It's not just sugar. It's like also like, where is this actually coming from? What's it connected with?
Yeah.
Is there gluten in it? Is it pure? Like that is so interesting.
Right.
What a different layer to that.
Yeah. And I mean, geez, there's so much crap out there nowadays.
My goodness.
So much processed shit. People just mindlessly put it into their bodies, you know? And it's, it's just nuts.
I do it.
Yeah, everyone does it.
I stress about it because I have at least a frame of reference on the potential quality of the sugar I'm putting in, but ultimately we do our best, you know?
Right.
I do my best to limit
We're
that
human.
as much as possible,
Yeah.
but still, even every now and then, it's amazing too when the more sensitive you become of your body, or the more mindful that we become, the more we're able to feel the quality like be absorbed and digested in our body.
Yeah.
Like when I'm drinking pure coffee, my body doesn't get shaky, nothing.
Really?
Nothing. like pure organic, like tested for mold, like real quality
Right.
coffee. Like my body registers it in such a smooth, efficient way. If I drink Starbucks where they don't test for that kind of stuff, I get
Yeah.
like this different sense to my body. And that was even before I knew about that stuff. So
That's very interesting.
it's super interesting.
See, I can't do just black coffee.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
I honestly love it.
Maybe I just need to try it again. It would be
I'll
way
give you some
better for me.
recommendations.
Okay, perfect.
Bulletproof coffee for people
Yeah.
listening. They test for mold. They have incredible labs that go through their coffee beans, and Laird's Superfood coffee as well. Two of the best I know of and can personally recommend.
Joe Rogan always talks about that one kind. Doesn't like Jason Momoa or something, that one dude, make it? It's like turmeric in it.
Oh, I
anyway,
don't know.
it's apparently it's amazing.
Yeah, I'll have to
I've
look
never
more into
tried
that.
it. Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about the emotional stress and what that can do to your levels, because something that I've become very well known of is how our nervous system influences the state of health we are in.
Yeah.
And all stress registers through the nervous system, whether that's emotional, whether that's muscle fatigue through working out, whether it's mental stress. It all transfers into the nervous system that therefore influences the types of chemicals we produce or do not produce in the body.
Right.
So to you, kind of like the sugar thing, you're gaining such a unique perspective around how emotional stress determines the rest of your body because you're so sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
We a little bit talked about you doing like the Wim Hof method and cold therapy, but do you also meditate? How are you kind of becoming more aware of these things?
I've dabbled in meditating. It's not like the typical like sitting, I do it to where it's comfortable for me. Like if breathing techniques have been huge for me. Especially with like the nervous system thing. So because I've been a diabetic for most of my life and it was so uncontrolled for so long, it totally wrecked my adrenals and they're still not healed. So that's another big part of like personally my issues is my body barely produces cortisol anymore. So just the littlest thing and I'm just like totally worked up. So it's something that I have to be really mindful of to like stay calm in any situation, like try my best to not let things get to me, like driving, like, oh man, I'm known to be a little rager sometimes. And so that's one thing that's absolutely helped is breathing through situations like that. Yeah, and with the cold therapy, I mean, I take cold showers. And that's like, I feel like it does more for me mentally than physically. It's just the kind of clarity that you get, which is it's crazy that just like cold water can do that for you. It's a very different experience for me in a shower opposed to like getting into a lake, which I've done a handful of times.
They're very different.
Yeah. Like that completely shuts me down. Like getting into a lake. Like I get to a point, I don't know what it is, but like my glutes, like my butt just like cramps up so bad and it's painful. And I don't last as long as I can in like a cold shower.
For sure.
But I've gotten so much better just through practicing, like breathing through it and like remaining calm through that like chemical like change, Yeah, it's been really very interesting process.
It's amazing how much just longer exhales
Yeah.
can change our entire like chemical makeup.
Right. And actually breathing properly, like not inhaling into your like chest, but into your gut is huge. That I totally chase the feeling of, when you're breathing in and you're exhaling, and that it's that last few seconds of the exhale. Like, oh my gosh, it's just, there's nothing more serene to me than that. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. And I don't think many people, I shouldn't say that. Not very many are probably mindful of that because we're just caught up in life. You know what I mean? So yeah, the mindful practice of it is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And it almost seems to be that when you're able to feel and focus on those last few seconds of that exhale, that time is actually elongating.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're more present. You're able to respond. You're able to feel more,
Right.
feel how to respond, instead of just literally be on to the next thing before you're even done breathing. Like that's one of those mental benefits that come from breathing techniques or cold exposure. Like these things also help us behave better and
Yeah.
understand and function in the world more efficiently.
Right.
Not just with better circulation, but actually like function better as humans with how we perceive things.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's huge. Perception. Yeah. Totally.
How did you begin to switch from fighting to working with all of these different conditions? And what were the behavioral switches that actually allowed you to start working with what was going on?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think when or what it was that really like changed my view of that. And I'm not sure I can pinpoint it. But I guess with my diabetes, I really started to make it my friend. Because I've hated it. I hated it for most of my life. But just shifting to a place of gratitude for it. Because I would try to imagine my life without it. And I don't know who I would be, because it's totally made me who I am. Like growing up with those struggles. I mean, 9 years old and almost dying from it. I had to grow up so fast. So I don't like, I've really struggled with that part. Just, I did have to grow up so fast. I don't remember much of my childhood before that age. So I've struggled through my life, trying to have fun, I've dealt with a lot of like substance abuse issues because that was how I could let go and like let loose. That was my like, I can have fun now. Like I don't have to, you know what I mean? So I've really been trying to work on that, like to play, like being around my nephew is 4. I'm around him all the time, and he's been such a huge lesson and such a gift for that. Just teaching me like life doesn't have to be so serious, like engaging and just playing and like enjoying yourself, like joy opposed to happiness.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Reference there in comparison between joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Because they do feel very different. I don't know if I've even talked about this before here. Happiness seems to be this like fleeting feeling that may actually never be fully present during your life.
Right.
So when people are chasing happiness,
always,
it's almost as if like their peak experiences, it seems
Yep.
like. So it's almost this illusionary journey and chase and want and desire of what may actually come and go in phases.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're joyful and you're enjoying the moment,
Right.
that's a way more sustainable form of energy.
That's a really good way to
You know what
word
I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
So, because I mean, there's moments where we should be a little bit depressed, where we should be pondering and digesting a breakup, registering information. Like,
Right.
it may not feel like happiness, but are you perceptive and are you able to learn through the process? And like, those are, for me, they seem to be way more efficient forms of fuel. And it's, yeah, it's interesting that you bring up joy over happiness, or because
Yeah.
that's also a delicate discussion. We were talking about delicacies earlier,
Yeah.
and to tell a person like, hey, don't chase happiness, but truly enjoy your experience. It's literally a different sensation.
Yeah. It is.
And children are amazing at showing us what joy could be,
Yeah.
because it's a form of energy. It's a
Yes,
presence.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, children are amazing.
Yeah. He's really changed my perception of children. Like I've never liked kids much through my life. Like I don't want any personally. But he's just made me so much more appreciative, I guess. And just like witnessing like what it is to like again, like feel joy.
Could you move the mic a little bit further away?
Yes.
Perfect. That's an interesting thing to bring in also, because think about our environments and the people in them and the energy that they bring and the energy that we bring to the people or the environments, whether it's combating or cooperation, or being around somebody who's actually experiencing joy or someone who's experiencing anger. Like, that influences everything in that environment. And it's actually one of my personal favorite things to ponder and meditate on and with, because it helps really show this infused world of literally everything around us and how everything we are around actually goes with us to an extent.
Right.
Like, there's residue from this experience that will go with the both of us for the rest of this day.
Yeah.
And whether it's being around children in joy or a fight or whatever, there's a residue from that.
Right.
And how do we better choose and operate through the world to not live in fear and only want good, but to live in healthier conditions? And that is also approaching the conditions in a healthier sense, like exactly what you've learned how to do,
Right.
because of the destiny of your path. Like, damn.
Yeah. It's just crazy to even think about. Like in that, you know what I mean? Yeah, I've since practicing.
Bring it a little closer.
Oh, okay.
That's amazing. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I'm just giving you shit. But yeah, I've speaking of that, the energy and like how it carries, I've spent a lot of my life not wanting to be alone, and just even if it meant spending time with people that weren't good for me as a person, like just their energy, I would just do it anyway, because I'm like, well, I don't have to be alone, so why not, like, go do something. And in the past, with my rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis was in 2017. And since that, I had to spend a lot of time alone. Like, I don't have energy all the time to go do even like go to the grocery store, things like that. Like I had to become comfortable with being at rest. And I've spent my life being so busy and like just go, 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 go so that I don't have to think about anything. So that just brings it back to that with my diabetes and befriending it and, you know, working with it instead of against it. It's just totally, it's a huge game changer. Like even just changing the verbiage and, you know, the words that you use. Like one of my friends made these stickers that said "fuck diabetes," and I was all about it when he had them. And since becoming more aware of it, it's just like, no, like it's not the attitude to have. Like, sure, it sucks, but I've learned so much more from that than I ever would have, you know? It's really been a blessing, as crappy as it can be. Yeah, it's made me so much more aware in a general sense.
What a perspective.
Yeah.
Like what a formulation of perspective.
Surrender.
Wow, think about how different your world is now that you feel that way in comparison to if you were fighting against it. Like, damn, talk about extra stress. Talk about extra like inflammation to fuel the problem. Like,
right.
All of that plays a role.
Yeah.
And it's truly a softening of your perspective, a softening of your
softening. Yes.
You know, like
exactly.
being aware of it and softening it instead of being so rigid into what we do. And that could be our career path.
Yes.
With anything, can you allow flow of give and take? Or are you the one that's trying to just determine what's going on?
Yes.
Damn.
Surrender. Softening. Yes, that really hit me. Yeah, I've worked a lot on that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you've been able to spend more time with yourself and be alone.
Right.
What have you learned about yourself or about the process through that phase? Because that could be amazing insight for some people.
Yeah. To actually take time and like get to know the person that you really are. And it can be terrifying. Like it really is. Like it's awakening is a painful, never ending process. Yeah, I guess I just kind of realized how I wasn't actually living. I was just acting out, I guess. And again, like just trying to be busy all the time, like, you know, just I spent my whole life running from things, whether it be like relationships with like family members or diabetes. So yeah, since in spending time alone, it really opened my eyes to see like why I am, why I behave the way that I do, and really just getting to like the root of me, essentially. Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Acting out.
Yes.
What a crazy verbiage.
Yeah.
Because it feels like every person can relate to that to some extent.
Yeah.
Like just undergoing action or behavior or doing things or acting out or going with the flow in like a more of in a different sense and more of a running from going with the flow. And to feel that when we allow stillness to enter our world and silence and
Yeah.
patience, it's like,
It's
whoa,
terrifying.
all of these behaviors that have literally been coming through or from me, like, damn, where have those been coming from?
Subconscious
Oh,
autopilot. Yeah.
man.
So many people living on autopilot and like learned behaviors from what they've seen and what's acceptable in society nowadays, and just a bunch of robots, you know? Yeah, it's nuts.
Last night, this is an interesting timing of this. Last night, right before bed, I was looking at some things in my room, and I put my laptop down. I sent some emails and stuff, and I remember feeling like you have a lot to do. And then I stopped and was like what the fuck do you have to actually do?
Exactly.
Like, if you really look at the world or your life, like, what do you have to actually do? And it was actually a really beautiful moment of like, that's a mentality. It was, I'm busy, I have things to do. That's a mentality that builds energy in our body. And when you remove that, and let's say you do have 40 to 80 things to do. In reality, it's only like 40 to 80 things. You can get that done in the next few weeks,
Right.
next few months. Like, it's a way you approach those moments, because you can allow all that pressure to come in and kind of panic in a sense and do that action or oriented response, or you can be like, yo, I got like 40 things to do. I
Right.
got time here.
And
can,
what will happen if you don't do like one or some of those things? Like, is it that detrimental? You're putting so much pressure
For
on
sure.
yourself. Yeah.
It's crazy what just like literally happens when we don't become aware of it. And then when we do become aware of it, doesn't matter what it even is, it softens that stress. It relieves that pressure. It allows us to actually be more whole and feel who we are and love who we are.
Right.
And like, that is a huge part of the journey. A huge part.
It's so like you're just like saying these words that are like popping into my mind at the same time. It's very strange.
Like what? Which
Like
ones?
the journey and like loving yourself and all that. That's been huge for me too. Learning to love myself. Cuz I mean, it's tough when you grow up and you think that something's wrong with you because of your health, you know? So that, like, I grew up with that mentality, like, something is wrong with you. Like, you're not normal. And then I've had relationships where I've been left because of my health issues. And that was, I'm still recovering from that, honestly. Because, like, just think about how shitty that is, you know? Put that into perspective, something that's completely out of somebody's control. And they're like, well, I can't deal with this. Like, how do you think I feel? Like, I don't get to leave my body, you know? This is an all the time thing. So, yeah, learning to be kind to myself and softening again. Word of the day, I think.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
It fits very well here.
Yeah, it really does. I became very rigid over the years and just very hard because of all of it. And that's another thing with like the mindfulness and breathing techniques and all of that. It's tough to put into words, but you can like feel yourself soften, especially with the breathing, like those last few seconds. You're just like, you can feel it. You can physically feel it. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, your tissues release some tension.
Mm-hmm.
You truly, like, your cells they soften and they can absorb a little bit more, and
Your energy just
it
shifts.
does. Yeah, and like when people say, I'm not getting benefit, I can't meditate, I don't get anything from it, like it's a slow process, but when you feel stuff like that,
Right.
you understand like the actual response that meditation or breathing has on our body. And those are the things, those are the hooks that keep you going back.
Yeah.
You know, when you really feel that difference and how your body feels and how you feel your body. That's
Right. I feel like there's just the common misconception of you meditating is only like you have to sit with your legs in pretzel cross and your hands up and be quiet for like an hour. Like,
for
no,
sure.
meditating is, it's different for everybody. Like, you can meditate in your car, you know, wherever you are, whatever you're doing for a minute or two.
This is a form of meditation here.
Yeah.
Honest, genuine expression of your vessel through vulnerable circumstances. That's meditation.
Yeah.
Especially when, excuse me, when you really work to choose the words properly. I mean, I could say a billion different words right now, but feeling and honing into what feels more proper to what feels more efficient or smooth, that's a form of meditation. And it's our life can be through meditation. And it's a really cool thing that I'm developing and working on a little bit, is to help show people that meditation can be a lot of different things.
Yeah, it looks different to everybody.
Yeah, it's huge.
I feel like more people would probably try it if they really knew like what it actually is. That it's not just the typical, you know, image of it.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Game changer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the path. So, what have been some of the biggest lessons or switches or recognitions that you've learned, maybe not just through the past 20 years, but through your life and with dealing with this or your given circumstances as a human? Like, what are some things that you've really tried to embody or have recognized as important lessons or wisdom?
A big one for me is accepting people as they are, and not, I used to be a pretty judgmental person, and like going through everything that I've been through, it's been just kind of an eye-opener for like everyone's going through different things. Everyone behaves a certain way because of, you know, what they're going through, what they have gone through. So softening towards people, and not just myself, like towards others. And yeah, that's it's really changed my relationships with people, trying to actually understand them and not just past the surface level, you know? And it's in becoming more aware of that. It's funny thinking about it now when I do sit down and I talk with people and I ask them deeper things about them. The first few minutes, it'll just flow out and they just talk, and then they stop. Their defenses go up and they're like, why are we talking about this? Why not? Like, vulnerability is so hard, but it's so important. It's so, so important. Because how else are you going to connect? You know, I went through when I was first diagnosed with the rheumatoid arthritis, I would post on my Instagram a lot about it, about my treatments, about how I was feeling, what everything was doing to me. And the amount of connection that brought me to other people was huge. I didn't expect the kind of feedback that I got from people, like actually being grateful, like, thank you for, sharing this information and educating me on it. Like, now I know, like, oh, my uncle has this, and he never talks about it. I get that a lot with my diabetes. I'll post my blood sugars and people are like, what does this mean? Like, I don't understand it. Wow. And I've heard that many times, that their family members or friends, they won't talk about it. And it's like, I completely understand it. But at the same time, it's changed my world to talk about it and be open. That like vulnerability. It's like opening a door. Like your body is opening, in a sense, is how it feels for me. Just to be transparent. People keep so many things to themselves that are so heavy. So heavy. And just opening those doors is, life-changing. So trying to not care so much about what others think and stop fearing the judgment. Because, if someone's going to judge you, there's nothing that you can do about that.
Absolutely right.
To control it.
Yeah.
Like, that's completely out of your control.
Dang.
And would you really want someone like that in your life if they are, Like, eventually you would hope that their eyes would open and they could see what they're doing and, that they're not connecting with good people because of that. But your own energy is what's most important.
Yeah. And a lot of that's in how you respond to judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Are you compassionate about it because of where they might be in their life or what they may be going through? Like, when you open up that world, there's a lot more to it than people think. It's not just oh, this person's judging me. Like, what do I have to, like, there's
it's a mirror.
There's a lot of things there.
Right.
There's multiple worlds that coexist in that one circumstance.
Yeah.
And for you to really feel the beauty and the benefit from being open, not just for your own health, but for the health and, like the actual psyche of other people, that's amazing. That's what happens when we become vulnerable. Right. And when we share what's going on, because it allows people to see more of who we are. And just like you said, that's how we connect. That's how we legitimately build deeper, better, healthier relationships with people, even over social media. Like, you can build and blossom really beautiful relationships with people that you've never met.
Yeah. That's one thing for personally with you that I've really that really opened my eyes just to how you can connect so much with someone that you've never met. Like, and that's, again, speaking volumes to what you're doing here, building those connections.
We just do our best.
Yeah.
Like people do. We just do our best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
You should be proud. Like, really, truly.
You're wonderful. Thank you. I think a lot of it shows too, like, who you are in terms of being able to connect with a person the way that we have over social media. There's two pieces to this puzzle here, and both mutually important, because without you being here, like, we wouldn't have this relationship. We wouldn't be able to connect the way that we're able to. And that comes from your background, your approach, and your work, and your journey, and everything. And that's a huge reason why it's in my humble opinion, important for us to learn who we are
Mm-hmm.
and understand who we are and sit with who we are, because the more we understand who we are, the better we're able to actually genuinely connect with other people
And understand others.
and
Yeah.
understand others, because we see ourselves in them and we see them in us. And when we become more open and whole, we bring that to the table and they become more open and whole. And then you become more open and whole because they become more open.
Yeah.
It's such a crazy, like, balancing act of going deeper into relation.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful.
Yes, it really is. Those energy shifts. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So thank you for being open and sharing your journey.
Yeah.
People who don't even know they need to hear it. Like, that's a crazy concept.
Yeah. I really just I guess I want people to be a little softer towards others, to try to understand. And I mean, we're all human. We aren't all going to be understanding of each other and soft to each other all the time. But yeah, and just a big thing for me, I've been feeling very called to just share a message of like, someone can look healthy and feel like they're just being pulled apart inside. Like, it just looks different on so many people, because people look at me and they're like, oh yeah, you know, you're pretty and you smile a lot, and I like your energy. It's like, yeah, and I have holes in my bones and like my body is literally eating itself, like attacking itself, attacking my joints, deteriorating. So it just yeah, the world just needs less judgment, more understanding. Because I get that so often. Like, how could you be struggling? Look at you. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, this concept comes up internally for me a lot, where it's always different from the inside. And that seems to translate into so many different scenarios. What I often refer it to and relate it to running a business. Like, people can be like, "Oh, it seems like it's going so great, all these things," but it's always different from the inside. When you're with the operation, when you're with the functioning, and you're getting that deeper perspective on what's going on, and instead of the appearance of, and that goes with humans as well. A person can look so pretty, or they have their life together, or whatever external circumstances a person is paying attention to, but it could be very different from the inside of that operation.
And social media plays a huge
oh my
part
gosh
in
it
that
does
too.
It really does.
It can be such a blessing if you're utilizing it properly.
Yeah, are you being genuine?
Yes, genuine.
Or, like, so it's such an important variable.
I feel like a lot of people too, they fear that vulnerability because they don't want to come across as a complainer or negative. No one wants to be around someone negative. It's like, well, if there's a struggle, you should feel okay with communicating about that. I was having a talk with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago because I was just having a tough time and I just needed to talk to somebody that I knew that I could trust with those feelings. And I said, sorry, I'm just, probably sounds like I'm just bitching and being a twat right now. And he goes, no, you're struggling. Like, you're struggling and you're communicating about it. And that's what you need to do. Because you can't just sit with that. That's how it tears you apart. And I did that to myself for so long.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people. And I, for a while, this is interesting, dealt with the aspect of what I don't want to be appeared as. Like, especially with women, like approaching a woman in public or something. Like, I don't want to appear like I'm just trying to like hook up with you. Like, there's
Right.
that like
Perception,
right? And then it went from like me recognizing that after years of doing it in different circumstances to like, okay, well, why do you focus on what you don't want? Why don't you focus on what you actually do want? Like, how do you want to be in this moment? And I dealt with that for a while. And then it's like, okay, what about just being who you are?
Genuine. That's
Being
right.
genuine.
The whole time you were saying that,
You
I
know?
was just like genuine.
Like, that's that middle ground. If you just are who you are, and not like the aspect of like, oh, fucking take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I am who I am. You know?
Yeah.
Like, love me or hate me, whatever. I mean, that's a different side of it, but like actually coming from your place of like wholesome heartedness. And if you're genuinely intrigued by somebody, be who you are. And if they aren't vibing with that, that's better.
Then that's what it is.
It's better to know that stuff, being who you are.
Exactly.
Because you're able to be around people who do appreciate who you are. And like that's one of the most beautiful responses to being genuine. Is you get to meet people who actually appreciate that part of you.
Yes. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
It is.
I've definitely I'm known to be a person that doesn't care what others think, and I think that that's helped me a lot, because why worry about it? You know?
Yeah,
if someone's meant to be in my life, then they will be. And sometimes it's tough to try to keep people around. But if you really think about it, like if you're having to fight for it, is it really meant for your path?
God, it's so interesting of a concept.
Yeah, it really is.
Because how many like relationships are surrounded in the energy of like, I will fight for you, and like we can't get divorced, or like whatever that is. And that is a crazy delicate topic.
Yeah.
But like, damn.
Yeah.
You know, there were girlfriends when I was younger that I motherfucking fought for.
Right.
I'm talking like I fucking did my absolute best for that, for their approval, for whatever. And look where we are.
Yeah. Because it wasn't meant to be.
It just wasn't. And we try and force those things for usually egotistical reasons.
Ego. Yeah.
You know, like this girl's super hot. Like now I'm like super like, okay, I gotta keep this. I gotta keep this around because it validates me or something, right?
Oh, yes.
And that's just one example. But and then you get to be with people who you can actually be genuine with, and those, like we talked about earlier, are more like sustainable forms of energy that hold way longer duration. And
your verbiage just always hits so well.
There's
for
a
me.
healthy duration there.
Yeah.
And like those are the people you want to be around.
Right.
Where it's more homeostasis. And it's not just peak and peak and peak and all this crazy fucking up and down.
Yeah.
And also, those up and down relationships are super beneficial because they help show you what being in homeostasis feels like. And that's something that I've learned in many different ways. But
yeah, that's huge. That's a good
It's like you have to like date bad people to appreciate the good ones. It's like, it's that concept in a different way.
Right.
Because you know what both sides of the spectrum feel like.
Yeah. Right. That's so interesting. In deep thought now. Sorry.
I know. And we were talking about that earlier. How like you can feel when somebody's pondering.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
It is. See, I'm grateful to be sharing a presence with you.
It's
we
very
talked
mutual.
about before. Yeah. It was what I was hoping it would be.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as hope we shouldn't have in moments, it is
Exactly.
nice when it aligns for sure.
Yeah. Alignment. Crazy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is.
Do you have any remaining feelings or thoughts or anything you wish to share?
They wrote Brite on that cup. Can I just point that out?
They did. That is hilarious.
Observation. Just random observation. Goldfish. Anyway. I don't think so. Not that my mind's kind of all over the place right now. Just thinking about all these points we've hit.
That's good. A lot of people leave here, and I do too, but with things to like digest and ponder, and it's actually really cool to hear like the perspective and experience of the guest, because a lot of people, I don't plan discussions. We just kind of show up and we engage and we be humans.
Right.
And to hear people like driving here, like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, and like hear their experience, and then also hear the experience of the audience from it. From my point of view, it's super dope and beautiful to like perceive how all of these different mechanisms are working with each other, and then perceiving from my own point of view where there's benefit in my own world, both worlds, this room.
Connecting.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. I was really, we had talked before I came out, and I think you asked, like, what did you want to really talk about on the podcast? And my goal was to connect, like just genuine connection. And again, it was about the autoimmune diseases and things. Oh, that is one thing that I wanted to touch on. What's your experience with, like, do you have any experience with autoimmune diseases or like people close to you?
Yeah, I know some people. I don't know. MS, is that an autoimmune? So I think my aunt had it for a while. She may still do. I have some friends that also do. And so my personal experience is watching people deal with it in a way of not having many resources, not really knowing the healthy ways to go about it, really trying to reroute their diet because of like that's a huge part of it. Instead of just putting medication and chemicals in your system, how do you actually do this in a healthy way? And not really combat, but like reroute and work with what's going on, and with acceptance and everything, right? And surrendering. And yeah, it's it's hard to watch a little bit in some people. It also, builds compassion, and this is a huge reason, I think, one of the reasons why we're building this platform is to help provide people with resources and perspective from people who are undergoing certain journeys that may be able to help share insight or perspective that literally helps somebody learn something that they may have never been able to learn without listening to an episode or reading an article or something. And I think we as people have so much value in how we perceive our own journey, and they're so similar but so different at the same time. And like that's part of the craziness of this whole thing, and understanding what's not working or what is working for somebody who's just were diagnosed with diabetes or anything, or just beginning meditation or martial arts. And I don't know, that's a full wholesome response to your question, but
so I ask because I've, out of curiosity of how, like, why would your body just start turning on itself out of nowhere, And I I found a correlation with a very unhealthy relationship that I was in. And I kind of dove into that, and I just like random people that I'd follow on Instagram who had like rheumatoid arthritis or something. And I was like, were you experiencing like a lot of emotional turmoil at the time? And a lot of them, they were. It's traumatic experiences. I truly feel like that's what roots these autoimmune diseases. Maybe not so much with diabetes, because I know that obviously with some people it can be genetic. No one in my family has it. I think it had something to do with something that happened when my mom was pregnant with me. And she holds guilt for that still to this day. She thinks that it's her fault. But yeah, there's just a complete correlation in that. I was in a very, very unhealthy relationship, fighting very hard to keep somebody in my life that I didn't need in my life, very emotionally and verbally abusive, and just there's no research really on it.
Yeah.
Because how do you research that? But it completely correlates with all of my health issues. I mean, I had carpal tunnel release surgery when I was 21. And that was I was with that man at that point. Yeah. It's just crazy to think about like how your body will react physically to your emotional state and mental state.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it's emotional or energetic stress.
Right.
Because all stress registers as stress in the nervous system in the body.
Exactly.
And like it doesn't matter where it's coming from. Yeah. It's just if it's present, it's present.
Yeah.
And there's a book that actually really changed my life. It's Healing Back Pain, the mind-body connection. And it's like working through these actual pains in our body and finding the root of the emotional connection and releasing that. And the moment we recognize and release it, like that back pain goes away. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And I recommend that book to almost everybody. And there's some good stuff on like Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
He's got some really cool, even research now on it. So there's definitely there's a wave coming of like scientific approach to our emotional and energetic surroundings, internal and external, and how that determines our physical health. And that's a huge, I say this often, that's the future of health, but it's also just the way it's always been. So it's not just the future, it's just becoming more modern,
aware.
But like that's just how it happens. And it's really cool to hear about the research that's happening with it.
Yeah. Finally. Making big moves.
That's what some people need. They need that cognitive acceptance on something that can help them experience it, when like the Eastern world is more about the experience itself that produces those cognitive recognitions. And I think that's how because they went so deep into presence without technology or anything, and knew like where the chakras were and how they aligned with certain organs, and like, or acupuncture, like the energetic meridians in the body and like the flows of energy. Like you didn't have x-ray machines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the experience of it, I think, holds a lot of value too. And I think that's what the Western world is being like herded into.
Yeah. It's such a, like, just a cash cow.
Yeah, that too.
The pharmaceutical, industry. There's always like medicines for all of these things. It's really about your mind and body connection, like you said. There's this woman I follow on Instagram. I want to say her name's Ruthie Lindsay. But she was in a terrible accident and was in severe chronic pain for years and years. And I've learned so much from her about how to be kind to myself and kind to my body. Like she says that she will talk kindly to herself. Like she'll sit there with her hand on her chest and, oh, sweet girl, like your body is beautiful. You aren't broken, you know, you're trying so hard. Yeah. To be kind to yourself. And yeah, it's huge and so hard. I'm like getting emotional.
Yeah, that's a practice for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of forms of therapy that involve that approach, but do it to like your 7-year-old self, or like going like deep into moments in your life and putting love on the circumstances, on your own being in those times. And you know, you did your best and like you were present and you did what you were able to do with your level of knowledge at that time, and really refueling your body with love. And that's where like the past, present, and future become the same thing. Like they're all blended into the same moment, and that feels like being present. If we can be present enough that we go deeper into our subconscious mind, rooted in the past behavior, healing the present, producing a better future. So it's really amazing that blend through presence that exists.
Right. Dr. Nicole LePere, she goes by the holistic psychologist.
She's amazing.
Oh my gosh, that woman has totally changed my life. Yeah. Amazing. So yeah, for any listeners out there who aren't following her, do it, because
incredible.
She will change your life. I have a couple of male friends that are, you know, like just dudes, no feelings, just, you know what I mean? And I had posted some things by her, and then they started following her. And now they're like, I'm really working on myself.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's so cool.
She's legit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, her content is the best.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's cool.
She just moved to this side of the country too.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Yeah, she did some like beach meditation in LA a couple months back.
Rad.
It was just open, like people just came. I'm like, I would totally travel to do that, because I'm sure it'd be amazing. She does a lot of stuff about reparenting and, you know, all that. So yeah.
Legit.
Yes.
Brittany, thank you.
Yes, thank you so
much.
This was wonderful.
You're wonderful. That was
As
beautiful.
Are you? Yes.
Thank you. Namaste. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next time.
Yes.
Always welcome.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Much love.